Avantae will. It's crazy because when I went and rewatched the live from last week, and I said, stranger things have happened. Stacey Coley was going to Tallahassee. Tracy Howard was 100% UF, and exactly what happened with Avantae Williams, who was 100% UF, according to anybody who was doing crystal ball. Anybody who had any projections is he was going to UF. The signs of his cousin Lorenzo Lingard transferring from here up there. All of the supposed backlash from that came from his mistreatment and things of that nature at the University of Miami. So we all thought Avantae Williams 100% Gator. And, I have spoken about on my channel when he reached for that Miami hat, and this has come from years of this happening to us, and he grabbed that hat, I said, oh, he's going to toss it or he's going to throw it back down on the table. And he said he grabbed Miami and he put the hat on. And I'm saying to myself, all right, okay, when the joke's up, all right. And he's serious. And he actually threw the U up, and everyone was still like, wait, he actually picked Miami. And there's message boards going around that saying that the Florida Gators coaching staff, as they were watching his announcement, the safeties coach looks up and he goes, did he say Miami? He turns to Dan Mullen, and Dan Mullen just shakes his head and he gets up and he walks out, man. And it's one of those good feelings, man, that a good surprise, a good player, a hard worker, a leader, and we're adding him, a playmaker, to the University of Miami football program. And that's what you want. You want to have 11 playmakers. You want to have young men that are willing to work and grind and to become better. And I remember even you saying, his heart was Miami. We've all spoken about that. His heart was Miami, but is he joining the 6-7, 7-6, 8-4 Miami Canes? Or is he actually joining the 2016, 2017, that back-to-back year where we thought Miami was about to start rolling here? Is he joining that type of mindset? And the influx of Ed Reed and the great effort, have to publicly give on the platform I'm on right now, Efren Banda, our safeties coach, is the majority reason why he chose the University of Miami. This is from Avantae Williams' interview. The relationship that he made with Avantae Williams since the 8th grade. The 8th grade, he's been recruiting him and wanting him to be a Miami Hurricane and projecting him into the Miami Hurricane program. And then adding Ed Reed was what put it over the top, man. And we're happy. It's smiles right now in our program.
This is enormous. Second-rated safety in the nation, top 50 player regardless of position. And he pulled through on a comment that I heard him make a number of times and post on social media and other platforms, that he really, 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 really wanted to go to Miami. And what that told me at the time was he really wants to go to Miami, but he also wants to know, is this program going to win?
Right.
And he made that decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously winning is a key component to recruiting and everything, but so are relationships. And at the end, Miami's had a 4-year relationship with Avantae Williams from, basically the time he was an 8th grader. Was the first time that, 8th grader rising 9th grader was the first time that they made contact, or he came down for a visit to a camp and everything. Obviously through his cousin Lorenzo Lingard's recruitment a couple of years ago and everything. And they've been consistent with that. And you started to hear some whispers of that. You started to hear, hey, he really values relationships. He really, whatever. And yeah, I mean, obviously he does. And that ended up playing out as one of the deciding factors, if not the deciding factor, is just the longevity of the connection there with Manny Diaz and Efren Banda from, Diaz's time as defensive coordinator before being head coach. And he was involved in that recruitment. Efren Banda has been the safeties coach all the way through and everything. And I mean, it's a big win. He's a top 50 player. These are the blue chip kind of guys that Miami should be getting. And yes, he's the 3rd, 4th safety in this class with Brian Balaam, Jalen Harrell, and Keyshawn Washington, although Keyshawn Washington is probably going to move down to striker. I mean, he's the best prospect of those 4, even though he was the last one in and everything. But I mean, look, this is a guy who, I mean, it's funny seeing, Florida fans talking about, oh, he's slow and everything. Like he timed at a 4.52. Avantae Williams did. And his Twitter handle is slowdownboy7 because he runs so fast. He needs to slow down, and like Avantae Williams is a guy who's going to test in the 4.4s once he gets into college. I mean, and he plays in the 4.4s if you watch him on film. Like one of his first clips on his senior film is there's a punt and it goes and it like the ball like scoots down and it like kind of bounces and stops like a dead standstill. And he picks it up and he's around the corner faster than anybody else. Like this is a guy with massive, real kind of speed. I got to be a nerd in my recruiting notebook for him and break out some physics. So, forces mass times acceleration. And he's not the biggest guy. So his mass isn't massive, but his acceleration, AKA his speed, you put that together, and I mean, dude, like he hits guys and guys go down. It's like I said about Brian Balaam, when he makes contact at the point of contact, that's where the runner stops. It's not he hits and then, oh, we're going to go forward. No. I mean, Avantae Williams will stop you dead in your tracks. Obviously, like every player coming from high school, he needs to refine his technique. But I mean, he's elite as elite gets. And it's a huge win for Miami, especially a head up against Florida. Getting a guy who was at the top of the class back in this class because Avantae Williams was committed to Miami. He committed on the same day that Lorenzo Lingard did a couple of years ago, his cousin. Decommitted, committed to Oregon, was going to go out there, but then realized, dude, that's far for his family. And not just like, his parents and cousins and everything. Avantae Williams has 2 children. So, it's a thing where you're like, yo, I'm going to leave my kids and go over here. I mean, even though you're, pursuing a better life and everything, Darnell Washington from Las Vegas, who's going to Georgia, cited the fact that Georgia has the best daycare in the country, apparently. Or they've just built a new daycare for his kid to go out there. So like him and his girlfriend, baby mama, fiance, whomever, that's why they're going to Georgia. So, having that connection, and everything in the Miami area, I think was a big thing as well. And, it was just the longevity of that connection in that relationship and everything. And, the safeties coach, Ron English at Florida, I forget who it was, like, I think the Athletic or Inside Gators, one of those two. And they were embedded in the Florida recruiting war room on Wednesday. And Avantae Williams, there was no microphone in the gymnasium at DeLand. And so when he made his announcement without amplification, and he's, doing one of those things, and he's like, yeah, I commit to Miami. And the story was told, and you can look it up. It said Ron English being towards the back of that room, he just kind of softly asked, he goes, did he just say Miami? And then he got up and was the first person out of the room when Avantae Williams announced that. So, yeah. And it was funny. I saw, Twitter, man. I mean, yeah, Twitter CSI, they'll find anything. Go look up. You can find a picture of it. The hat that Avantae Williams had on the table for Florida was like some truck stop rowdy reptiles, like not even Florida branded thing. It was compared to like this awesome, obviously, Miami hat that he had and everything. But yeah, man, it was really great. And, like I was a person who thought he was going to Florida, truth be told. Honestly, I didn't say it as a pump fake. I didn't say it as a jinx or anything, a reverse jinx. But, I tweeted out, people were like, oh, what are we looking for on signing day? How many guys? And I said, well, you had one, Isaiah Dunson, we're talking about him, a 4-star from Tucker, Georgia, a 6'2" cornerback who signed like first thing in the morning. And I said, we had one in a possible, and the possible was Avantae Williams. And then parenthetically on that tweet, I said, look, everybody knows he's going to Florida. I'm just saying, because I knew a couple of my close Hurricanes fans friends would have said, you're just capping out here. You're making stuff up. Like, we all know he's not coming here. Why would you say that? So I kind of cut them off the pass and said, Avantae Williams is not coming here. But, the guy asked, I'm telling you that we have one in a possible. Technically, we're on the table, whatever. And the Avantae Williams' announcement was at 12:30. Someone who would know called me at 11:25 and said, don't hint at it. Don't go in the comments. But I would start writing a notebook for him if you have not already. I said, huh? He said, welcome. Because it's funny because, people even in and around the program, they know what we do at State of the U. I said, I want to see hashtag welcome to the U. And I need a recruiting notebook. and I hope that you have a graphic ready. And he hung up the phone. And I was like, well, okay. And then I got to writing. So, I mean, I had a little bit of a hint. If you listen to Andrew Ivins' podcast on 247, it was not him. I can tell you that, or, that was not my source. But Ivins, he had known for a couple of days that Tay was going to pick Miami over Florida. So, it started to get out a little bit and everything. And that's how, obviously Ivins had a piece ready. I had, both pieces ready and everything. But it's huge. It's huge, and if when you add him, that's 14 out of your 21 signees that are blue chips. And yes, I'm counting Daz Worsham, who was a 4-star all the way through the process. Yes, I'm counting Elijah Roberts. Yes, I'm counting, who was the third one? There was another one who randomly, they're like, oh yeah, he's not a 4-star anymore. Out of my face with that.
So Cam, as soon as you made the comment that you had received that word at about 11:25 in the morning, what I pictured was, you see this with the war rooms in the NFL. You see this different war rooms in the recruiting offices of the major college football programs when we watch National Signing Day and watch the NFL draft. When you see that fax come in or that phone call made or that selection's made and you see celebration in the room, I was picturing just you receiving the word on any big recruit, knowing, hey, we're this much better. We're potentially adding an all ACC or all American player at this position. What runs through you? How do you, not that you have to outline your celebration, but in comparison to a big win, just your thoughts and how much energy you get from knowing, hey, we just got this guy.
Yeah, no, honestly, most times I just spring into action first and I react later. Because I'm like, cool. So, I have the announcement was at 12:30. It was 12 or 11:35, 11:40. So I'm like, cool. I have 50 minutes, 50, to get 2 pieces done. Cool. Whatever. I'd already started the outline of both of them because a little bit behind the curtain, usually if there's a guy who could go either way, you have one of each piece ready, hey, add on to the list. He spurned Miami for Florida, and then you also have a welcome to the U ready. And then, okay, cool. The standard that I've built for myself is that we have a proprietary recruiting notebook for every player, which, goes through the biography, which goes through the recruiting ranking, an evaluation of them as a player, including highlights with positives and negatives, and then how they fit at the position in 2020 and beyond. So that means and I've done that for years, but I've put that on myself to do. So yeah, it was really just cool, have that conversation, whatever. I'm doing like I did now. Hopped on the computer, start typing away because, I think of myself as having the fastest reflexes on the timeline because I will see something and have, a piece up on it very quickly. And then boom, we just make that happen. So yeah, usually it spurns me into action before anything else, before any kind of celebration. I love it when I'm out and, one of our guys like a Marshall Thomas or a Gabby Urrutia, they get to do the heavy lifting on the welcome to the U and the evaluation part in the immediate aftermath. And then I get to celebrate. But no, I'm as happy as anybody else. Dude, look, again, a top 50 player. The number 1 overall safety, according to Rivals and ESPN, the number 2 in the 247 composite safety in this class nationally. Bro, there's nothing not to like. There's no way that, I'm going to dampen my spirits. So yeah, just honestly, it's yes, hell yes. I love it. Awesome. Let me get to work and I'm going to celebrate a little bit later. That's usually what goes through my head. But with Avantae, that was, it was the last thing that we were waiting on. There was not going to be anybody past him. So it was it was a different kind of sensation and scenario because the whole signing day built to this crescendo. You start with a 4-star cornerback, Isaiah Dunson from Tucker, Georgia, used to be committed to Florida State, came to his senses, decommitted from there, visited Miami, committed here, canceled his other visits, signed, like I said, first thing in the morning. So boom, I wake up, I get everything going, I get out the recruiting notebook for Isaiah Dunson. Boom, and it's going through you. You learn, well, even before Isaiah Dunson signed, Willie Moise, not going to sign. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And just keeps going and it builds to this crescendo. And usually, if you look at anything, and I know this from my time as a music teacher because it's the structure of things, the golden ratio is just over 2/3% of the way. And that's where the climax comes in books, movies, songs, everything like that. That's where the 4 versus 3 ratio of life basically happens. That's where the climax of the event, and then you have the taper off because, you know, you kind of do that. Miami's recruiting day, it just went shoom to the top, and it ends on a high note. Cut, boom, go to black. All of a sudden, you're just like, woo! Like, this is the last thing that's going on, is like this awesome event, you know. And like, look, I'm not taking anything away from anybody who signed early. I'm not taking anything away from anybody who signed in December. But like, those were all known. There was nothing kind of in the balance. Everybody knew that Darnell Washington wasn't going to come here. Everybody knew that, you know, Justin Flo was not going to come here. I mean, some people might have thought that Jaden Francois might have come here, but like, if I got to lose out on a Jaden Francois to Nebraska to get a Avantae Williams, bye. Enjoy the cold, buddy. Because I mean, you know what I mean. So it was pretty cool.